As an Army Ranger in the 82nd Airborne Division, John Bel Edwards was trained to jump out of a perfectly good airplane in the middle of the night. And while that's not a skill required to run for office, it's one that would serve him well as he took a leap of faith and launched a long-shot bid to become Louisiana's 56th governor. The seventh of 8 children, John Bel Edwards was born and raised in Amite, Louisiana. His father, Frank, was a third-generation sheriff of Tangipahoa Parish. His mother, Dora Jean, worked as a nurse at a charity hospital. Together, they would instill in John Bel a deep Catholic faith and compassion for others. He grew up hunting and fishing with his siblings, excelled in academics and sports, and demonstrated all the qualities of a born leader from an early age. Quarterback and team captain of the football team, starting pitcher on the baseball team, and valedictorian of his class at Amite High. It was there, during his sophomore year, that he began dating his high school sweetheart and future wife, Donna Hutto. Following high school, John Bel attended the United States Military Academy at West Point, where he was chosen by his fellow cadets to serve as vice chairman of the Honor Committee. After graduation, he attended Ranger School and was assigned command of a rifle company in the 82nd Airborne Division. He served in the military for 8 years before moving back to Amite, graduating from LSU Law School and starting a law practice in his hometown. In 2007, John Bel was elected to the Louisiana House of Representatives and quickly established himself as a leader. He was re-elected in 2011 as he led the House Democratic Caucus in successfully defending every incumbent from a highly coordinated and well-funded effort to unseat Democrats. During his second term, he decided he didn't want to spend another 4 years fighting the same battles he'd been fighting in the House, so he became the first person to officially jump into the 2015 governor's race. In what would become one of the most memorable elections in Louisiana's colorful political history, John Bel Edwards' candidacy evolved from a long-shot Democrat in a heavily Republican state into a 12-point landslide victory over the heavily favored U.S. Senator David Vitter, who had never lost a race. 4 years later, Edwards would win re-election in a much closer race that saw President Donald Trump travel to Louisiana 3 times to campaign against him. Over his 8 years in office, Governor John Bel Edwards would use every ounce of leadership he learned in the military to guide Louisiana through an unprecedented number of crises. His first weeks in office began with historic floods, and his last ended with a historic drought and forest fires. In between, there was the $2 billion budget deficit he inherited, direct hits from 2 of the worst hurricanes to make landfall in history, a statewide 500-year flood, tornadoes, and a global pandemic that would stretch Louisiana's healthcare system to its breaking point. Through it all, Governor Edwards led with a calm and straightforward demeanor that would become the hallmark of his time in office. Louisiana saw its lowest unemployment rate in history, unprecedented economic investment and growth, budget surpluses, teacher pay raises, and record investments in higher education and early childhood education. But it would be his first act on day 1 of his administration, an executive order to expand Medicaid coverage to 500,000 working people, that Governor Edwards would call the easiest and most meaningful action he took in office. And while few outside of Amite or West Point saw John Bel Edwards' path to the governor's mansion, everyone in Louisiana will feel the impact he left behind for decades to come. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor John Bel Edwards.